Buras, and this is my investment strategy for Finance 452. The strategy I chose was to compare high dividend yields to low dividend yields. I benchmark was a 10-year Treasury note yield at 2.1424. I chose my high dividend yields that went above that and my low dividend yields that went below it. I chose monthly company prices for 5 years starting from January 1st, 2010 to January 1st, 2015. When looking at my high dividend yield companies, I have HCP at 5.50%, AT&T at 5.40%, Consolidated Edison at 4.20%, Chevron at 4%, Cincinnati Financial at 3.60%, McDonald's at 3.50%, ExxonMobil at 3.30%, Procter & Gamble at 3.30%, Cisco at 3.30%, and Emerson Electric at 3.20%. When looking at my low dividend yield companies, I have C.R. Bard at 0.50%, Sigma Aldrich at 0.70%, Sherwin-Williams at 1%, Centis at 1%, Franklin Resources at 1.10%, Ecolab at 1.20%, McGraw-Hill Financial at 1.20%, Lowe's at 1.30%, PPG Industry at 1.30%, and Brown-Forman at 1.60%. When looking at my high dividend yield companies' returns, variance, and standard deviation, they have very low returns with a decent amount of standard deviation for all companies. When looking at my low dividend yield companies' returns, variance, and standard deviation, they have a much higher return, but they also have a higher standard deviation. The only one with a low return was Franklin Resources that had a negative return. My correlation coefficient for my high yield companies, my highest correlation was Cincinnati Financial and Emerson Electric at 0.574, and my lowest correlation coefficient was Consolidated Edison and Emerson Electric at 0.026. Now my correlation coefficient for my low yield companies, my highest correlation was Lowe's and PPG Industry at 0.550, and my lowest correlation was Sherwin-Williams and Brown-Forman at 0.088. Now when putting these into portfolios, my high yield company portfolio had a return of 0.815%, and my standard deviation was 2.987%, with my low yield company portfolio having a return of 1.72%, and my standard deviation at 3.953%. When looking at the efficient frontier, you can see that my high yield companies portfolio and my low yield companies portfolio, and they're both on the efficient frontier. Now reasons for having their low return was because you're receiving higher payments while you're holding these stocks as time goes, so you're receiving your money back quicker than what the low yield was. Also, you have a higher risk, not as standard deviation, but as WACC. This could show signs of financial difficulties, can be cut or eliminated altogether, and they're not very stable companies. When looking at low dividend yield, you can see that they have a lower risk in WACC, which gives them a higher standard deviation for their stock. And these are usually offered by more stable companies with a good track record of consistent growth and steady payments. But the only bad thing is that you're going to receive lower payments, but your stock is going to be higher. Now, when comparing to my benchmark of the S&P 500, we see that the S&P 500's returns was 1.127, and their standard deviation was 3.712. So all three of these rely on the efficient frontier, So if you want, so it's all depending on your risk preference, on which one you want to have more risk, your standard deviation or your WACC, and what kind of return you want to get onto your stock, or do you want your money back quicker with dividends? Thank you and have a nice day.